Yes, welcome everyone. I am Sneha. I'm from ITM Skills University, and let's great. Today we have Mohit Ajwani, sir, and he is one of the skilled engineering leaders. He has a decade's experience in many companies or many organizations like Free Charge. Then we have Emirates NBD, and we will be knowing more about it from him directly. And he is not only an engineering leader but a mentor as well. And so, welcome to the campus of
Thank you.
ITM Skills University's BTech Computer Science Engineering. And it is an honor for us to have you over here.
Thank you.
First, I would want you to give a brief introduction about yourself, your journey.
Sure. So I passed my engineering somewhere around 2012, and I got an on-campus placement with Atos. I worked with them for some time. Then I moved to startups. Once I worked with a product-based startup. Then I worked with a service-based startup. Went to Dubai, worked with Emirates Bank of Dubai, Emirates NBD, and and then I came back to India, started working with FreeCharge as the principal engineer. I started with Android development, and I'm still with app development. So Android, I have a team of around 18 to 20 devs that work with me for building various applications for the Axis Bank and the group per se.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you had interacted with the students before
Yes.
this. So how and what kind of energy did you felt while interacting with them?
So I found that the many students are very curious about learning about. There were very relevant questions that were being asked about the industry, and overall the energy was very like they were really genuinely interested into learning things and very passionate towards the engineering and their career in engineering.
So you have interacted with students before as well, like
Yes,
from different colleges or in some different events.
right.
So have you seen this type of energy in any other student who is actually a first year student? Engineering case mein.
Generally, first year they don't have the kind of energy. Generally, in first year, people are more like interested into uh, going out, meeting friends, wasting their time actually in other things. So it is very rare to find first year engineering students having the curiosity which you expect from third or fourth year students generally.
So normally what we define as the college life.
Correct. So they generally the first year, second year students generally are in the college life phase.
Hmm.
Some of them mature when they go to third year, and some still don't.
Yeah.
And finally, most of them mature somewhere after in the fourth year or during the end of the year when they realize that they have to go out and work in an organization.
So how did you like the campus? How is the campus infrastructure and everything?
So honestly, the campus is good. I mean, the campus is very vibrant in terms of the colors that have been chosen, the color tone, the energy is different. That is one. Although it is a very small setup compared to many other established engineering colleges, but you get a a startup like vibe when you enter into this space. So a lot of creativity can come out of such spaces if you build an environment like this.
So you have passion for, into the specialization in Android and iOS. So how did you get into this passion?
So honestly, I I was not sure that I will get into Android because I was from an electronics and telecommunication background. So first I got placed into IT.
Huh.
Then when I got placed into IT, I thought that app development is something that is very interesting, that is very new. At the time I was starting my career, smartphones had just arrived a year or two back. So there was a very high demand for app developers or people who knew how to develop apps. So we used to see on smartphones that there are games, right, and there are some basic applications. we used to feel that, it is so interesting. Can we also build? So that gave the rise in interest, and I started interning with an organization, which was, so I had interned with them earlier also after my diploma. So that guy told me, I want to build an app. So earlier in the internships post my diploma, we had done something like home automation systems and things like that. So for that home automation system, he wanted an app so that he can control the home automation system from the app. So that's where I got into app development. He told me, you come to my office. I was not getting paid, it was a pro bono. So I went to the office. What he used to tell me is, I'll give you a desktop, go check out videos on YouTube, learn from the internet, and build an app for me. I want to build this.
And this was in which year of your engineering?
This was 2011, 2012.
Okay.
And that point in time, I was told that go search, study, come up and build this. Actually, at that point in time, we used to use Eclipse. Eclipse was the IDE for, because Java used to use Eclipse, and Eclipse was the IDE that was earlier used to do Android development. Android Studio came pretty much later, somewhere around 2015, 2016 time frame. So earlier we used to use Eclipse, and I had to set up all that on their system and then start doing the app development. That is how I got an entry into app development. And as I explained, that when I went into Atos, initially they gave us some work related to app development, and then they uh, preponed our DOJs so that we could join early. They gave us a training and everything, and they got us in so that we are able to start doing development under the same team where we did the internship. So that is, they expedited our DOJs at that point in time.
So after that, you were like, okay, this is the thing that is,
Yeah, because
exciting.
that is the only thing I actually got to start with. So then I have stuck to it since that point in time. I also I got to work on many other technologies with the CTO of my first organization, but app development was something which was very interesting to me because it has visibility, and there's a lot of, so I wanted, so my dream at a point in time was, I should build something which is used by a billion people. So if you build an app, it really gets more eyeballs, right? And you can say that this is
Which
what.
was your first app that you had made? Like internship में तो you were said कि you have to learn this, you have to come.
Correct.
But खुद से you it was like कि हाँ एक app खुद का ऐसा बनाना है. So have you made that?
So it is, so I have built multiple apps, but I still have the aspiration to build that one app, something which is, so something which has a very high active user base, like you have for WhatsApp, right? So WhatsApp is the best use case that's possible for doing a load testing. So I want to build app which is able to scale to the level WhatsApp has scaled. So although the sole credit doesn't go to the app, it also goes to the backend that actually runs all this. There is a lot of communication that happens through the XMPP servers of WhatsApp, but people don't really appreciate that. People really actually appreciate the ones who really develop the end product that you
End
can
product.
see.
Yeah.
Nobody is really interested in who is making the steel of the country.
The actual
The
backend.
actual house is very interesting, right? The cosmetic touch that is, and your app actually gives you the end usage. Like your app would be used by your end user. Your backend is still a subsidiary, as in it is a, it is an underlying tech that will keep scaling, but it may not get as much visibility compared to what your app development will get. That's why I believe that is something that I really want to build, which is able to scale at that
point.
level.
You said you had experience and like you went to Dubai as well, then you
Yes.
came back.
Yes.
So, what kind of, not difference I would say, but which part did you enjoy the most, being in Dubai or working over here?
So actually, I learned a lot when I went to Dubai. Reason being, there was they follow a lot of procedures very correctly. We Indians have a way to always find a workaround. So that is inherent. It is not like a person or a community. It's more like India as a whole.
Indian as a
We
whole,
all
yeah.
Indians, that is our core skill, that we'll always find a jugaad to something. So jugaad is something which happens. So that is why, and I am a pretty process oriented guy. So I like to tweak processes to a way that they are able to sustain on themselves. I don't need to continuously monitor. So I try to do that. We set up such processes, but in India, I honestly don't see a lot of traction in fixing processes, because even if you fix a process, some smart ass will actually go ahead and create another workaround around that. So just to give you an example, so who started jailbreaking devices? Mostly Indians, right? So iOS devices were being purchased outside the country, they were being brought here at a lower cost, and they were jailbreaking it for 2000 rupees, and they were using it. So because it was tied to a carrier, you cannot directly use it, you have to unlock it. So Indians were doing that. Indians always
Jugaad.
find a way jugaad to fix things. So basically, I want to use an iPhone, but I don't want to use it. If I buy it here, it is double the cost, so I'll find a workaround. So that is what Indians generally do, and there is no criticism to it. There is a lot of advantage to it also. Uh, but for me, from my perspective, I believe in more into tweaking processes, that we are able to correct things in a way that it happens seamlessly without any adverse effect to anyone.
Just the way it should actually happen.
Correct. So the most efficient way possible, rather than, because if you digress from the process, what happens is the workability is lost. Your integrity is lost. Then you will not be focused on achieving that thing. You will be focused on working your way out, because you don't want to do that. So I want people to align to the same goal. That is how I set up my processes, that I onboard everybody, that this is what we are trying to achieve. Anybody has different suggestions. If they come up with different suggestions, irrespective of whatever experience level they are at, all inputs are taken, discussed again in the same forum, and we all conclude on something which is common. So now I have everybody with a shared goal, and then I am able to create that integrity in them, so that they are able to
That
work
is
towards
the
that.
practice that you do in your team. That
Yes. And also I try to build it across teams. That is why one of the positives that I have seen here is I am able to tap into the right people in the right teams. So I have my ecosystem built where I am able to build things seamlessly. That is one of the advantage for me in the current organization also, that I am able to get my things done which I need to be done. That should be my end goal, right? I mean, that should be my
Right.
end result.
right.
So that is what I'm trying to do.
You being a leader and someone believing that, this is the step, that is how it is supposed to be done. So
Correct.
obviously for that we need to be updated with all the technologies
Right.
that is being updated every day. Right
Correct.
now we can see how technology is actually growing to a pace, fast pace. And so how do you stay updated? Along with that, how do you keep your team members updated on the same thing,
Right.
to be on the same path?
Right. So again, here what you have to do is you have to build a process. So what I do is whenever I come across some article which is interesting, I share it with my team immediately. I don't see what is the time of the day. I just post it somewhere in the group, in the Slack group or in the WhatsApp, just so that they can see. It is not something important, and I don't bombard them with these messages every day, but only if something comes out interesting. I just share it on the group, and that is the same practice that happens with my team. So you have to actually build that. You have to follow the practice so that others follow the same practice with you. Correct. So first start giving. So I start by doing what I can. So as soon as I come across something which is interesting, or I come across something which is which is critical, that this is something which we should consider when we are building apps. So then I will just drop that to my team, and they will also, if they come across like something which I might have missed because I was busy with
Right,
something else,
right.
so they will drop that. And there is no race that who has to drop it first, but it is interesting that if you have a motivated team, they'll be able to give you the right inputs that you could use. Even I'll give you some examples, like even in my team, whenever we are in some calls, right, and there is a possibility that something is being asked which is very specific to a product, and probably there's a possibility that I may not know that because somebody else has worked on that module,
Right.
right? In that case, if that guy is also on the call, but the question is asked to me, they will not let me get a bad fix. They will drop me a message that this is the response to it, and I will be able to answer that quickly. So you have to work together, collaborate together, so that you are able to get that. And I also in my full capacity try that they get their recognition, the thing that they want to get recognized for, because may it be my boss or my boss's boss, whoever it is where we meet, I try to give them the credit
Credit.
that they have worked for something. So they should get it because they deserve it, right? They put the effort, so they should get it any which ways. So that is what I try to set up as a culture in my team. uh, that is why there have not been any major exits in my team uh, in the entire phase till now. Very recently there were some candidates who actually were from campus, so they came from campus but they had plans to study, and that is something that even we encourage, right? So if you are really interested to study or upskill yourself, it is really good, right? You should go ahead and do that. So I didn't lose my people to other organizations or competition. I lost my candidates because two candidates because they were going to upgrade themselves, go to study abroad, and they had already planned for it and we were very well informed about it. So that is why we that is what has happened in my team for the exits. Otherwise most of my team is highly skilled, and they are able to really add a lot of value, and that is why we get a lot of recognition even from our end customers, so like end clients. So like if I'm building an app for a team, the team's business head comes and gives feedback
The
for
feedback.
this team is really good, they really add a lot of value to the product, and they're very quick, they're very agile, they quickly adapt things, they quickly resolve things. So it is very rare for them to see that if there is a issue that has been raised or a bug that has been raised or any POC that they have asked me, it generally happens in such a quick time which they have not even anticipated. So that is how quick the workability is built in the team, so that they are able to deliver the right results. And it is also an integrity thing. The team has the integrity that they don't have to worry about things because I am there. So that trust, if you build, you are able to deliver things very quickly.
Technically, over here, what you've done. I have a great and healthy team. It is because the people over here, the surrounding, and how we are together.
Correct.
That is why the team is
Correct.
great.
Correct. So that is what you should try to build, right? Because otherwise you will have a demotivated workforce who's only looking for making a switch or making more money. That could be the end goal, and people do get influenced by that. But even if there are a lot of things that may not be in my control, right? I may not be able to give everybody a promotion or everybody an
Right.
appraisal.
Right.
That cannot happen because as per the company guidelines, all may be deserving, but we can only recognize some of them.
Some of them.
in
right.
in that case, they know what I will do is in my control to give them the best, so that trust is there.
Trust is there.
Now
Right.
if they, even if it doesn't work out with them in this organization, they still tell me that even if you go out of the organization at any point in time, do let us know, we would still want to work under you in any other
Other-
organization. That is the kind of
Trust you have
trust
built with
or
your
the
teammates.
the confidence that you build with the team, that the team trusts you and your vision. That is how I think we are able to achieve what we are achieving.
you have great involvement in mentoring as well, and actually talking to you, I can actually understand, you as a mentor can be really great thing for a person to have. So how impactful these mentoring sessions or mentoring activities be to a community?
So I have very recently started mentoring over ADP List also. So ADP List was also started earlier as a design only mentorship community, and slowly it spread across to tech and all other teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I got introduced to it very recently when one of the designers with whom I had worked in Emirates NBD was here, and they got recognized for some completing some certain mentorship sessions. So I learned that okay, this is how we can actually contribute back, and I had some time to spare. So I thought, yes, this is a good a task that I could probably take in to do that. So what I did is I started sharing my ideas
Hmm.
with people who were, and I was open to discussing anything, like even if uh, you have a doubt about how do I do this interview, what can be asked to me in such an interview, we could do a mock interview together.
Hmm.
And probably I could ask you such questions which are specific to that role, and that could give you a gauge. There are very very few people who would actually go ahead and give you time for you to prepare for a mock interview,
Right,
right?
right.
Or and even if somebody is ready to give you time, probably they are not qualified, they are your mother or father who is giving you time. They cannot ask you those questions with that confidence, and even if you go wrong, they'll not be able to correct you because they themselves are not aware about such topics.
Right.
So I think this is something which is helpful for the person to take away. What I take away from this is a sense of gratitude. I am able, I feel happy that I'm able to help someone grow in these mentorship sessions. Also, at times you get, so I have got requests from US and even from Iran. Can you guess someone in Iran is a developer? I think that was a very different exposure for me. I didn't know that there is so much education in Iran, because all we see in global news is it is being occupied by Taliban and all these things.
Right.
I never guessed that there would be, and there are so many sanctions on Iran. How do you expect somebody to study there and grow? And I met a guy in my mentorship session who's from Iran, and he's asking me, "This is what I have done. This is what I have done," and all this, and I could not actually believe, because we have very skewed perspectives,
Right,
right?
right.
Because we don't have exposure. So what I take away from my mentorship sessions is I get exposure to global stage, where I get to learn from other people's stories what they are doing. So that's my takeaway.
So you have said that, you've mentioned your interest about digital transformations as well, right?
Right.
So, how does technology actually play a role in digital transformation, especially in financial and banking sectors?
Okay. So what happens is when you start building anything, if you're building it from scratch, the advantage is you don't have a baggage to carry.
Hmm. Hmm.
You are starting fresh, right? But someone who's already there in the game for very long. So I was going through one of the talks that happened here in by one of your mentors, which was he was a Volvo guy. He told that they have mainframes in place, correct? So in that, for Volvo, who's an organization since about 90 to 100 years, and that organization has to give a fully digital product. The budget that was coming up was somewhere around 2 billion, right? And if they were only maintaining their mainframe, the cost was just 10 to 15 million a year. So why would a business want to upgrade to digital? The thing is, it is very easy uh, for the new organizations to be able to create products
Hmm.
which is very efficient, But the older organizations have to spend a lot more time and money to actually get the same result,
Right.
because they have their legacy that they're carrying, right? They have their legacy core systems that are built into some ways. So an organization which is digitally enabled, which keeps upskilling themselves quickly, will not have to go through a digital transformation.
Right.
So what I believe is, we are like doctors. We treat the sick patients, or the sick organizations which have not upgraded themselves at the right time. But now they want to do that, and they want experts who know their
Right.
thing very well. So that is why, but it is better to do the digital transformation rather than perishing because you just had legacy. So if you as an organization don't upgrade yourself with the ego that I don't want to do a digital transformation, right? What happens is you end up with the most obsolete technology. So for example, 10 years back, there was no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But today, if some organization wants to do it, can a legacy organization do it very quickly? No.
No.
No. But a new organization, can they do it very quickly?
Yes.
Because the SDK is available. They are building a new app. They'll just integrate it and give it. Job is done. But can an old organization
No.
do it? No. Because their consoles, their systems, their units, their display units, everything is very obsolete. So for them to be able to do this, they have to create a middle layer around this new tech and their old tech. So they have to write things, a lot of things in place to actually interface these things, keeping the integrity in place. So
In
for
place.
example, they have their core logics which is in their mainframe. So for those things, it will be very difficult for them to be able to upgrade, and the more time they take in not upgrading themselves, it will keep getting difficult.
Right.
So as an organization ages, they have to, if they do digitally upgrade themselves, they will be fit to survive. If they don't, they will perish because of the age eventually.
The survival
So
is very.
that you have to be fit as an organization to survive the market, because market keeps evolving. Like for example, 8 years back nobody knew that you could do transactions quickly,
Through phones.
but
right.
but UPI came in
Yeah.
now. And I'm telling you, I've been in Dubai, I know people in US, Canada, they don't have transfers like this. They have to wait for 2 days, 1 day, 2 day, 3 days to get their money transferred to people. Can you as an Indian imagine this? No. For you, UPI karna. It's so quick. We have to really appreciate how quickly and how sturdily the Indian economy has evolved, as how digitally evolved we are. And it is, see, even in US during COVID, people were still getting paper certificates. In India, you were having digital
Digital
certificates.
certificates, right?
It is an insight to see how, see, as India, did we really have all this in place? No.
No.
But were we able to build this very quickly and adapt quickly? Yes.
Yes.
That why? Because we had our systems in place, because we are pretty new
Right.
in the game of the countries.
Yeah.
India is a baby
Yeah.
compared to US and other countries which are very
Already
established
developed
economies.
and,
Correct?
established,
Right?
Right.
So for them to be able to upgrade, it is very difficult.
Yeah.
But is India able to adapt? Yes. But the same thing happens with organizations also. Same thing will happen even with our parents. Like some parents, your grandparents will not be able to do a lot of things which your kid will be able to do it quickly. It's not the age, it's the adaptability that matters. Your kid will be able to do it very quickly, but your grandparents will struggle to even make a call,
Right.
because for them a call is a landline. They have never done a call like this. For them, they have to forget those things and come to this. For this guy, the kid, they've always done a call like this. They'll just swipe and it's a call.
It's like just a click, and yeah, I
Exactly.
know this is what I have to do.
Exactly. These guys can never understand what a dial-up connection used to do,
Yeah,
right? We have been through that. So for us, this is like, oh, so fast. But for them, it's a regular thing. So that is the learning curve. So when you are doing digital transformation, you have to keep upskilling yourself. So if someone who has been up to date, who has upgraded from a dial-up to a broadband, and from a broadband to optical fiber, for them they'll not find it too difficult.
too difficult.
But somebody who was still till yesterday they were on a dial-up and today they want a broadband, for them this is like, wow, it's magic. But it's not magic, it has been there, the technology. So somebody, I don't recollect the name, but somebody from the early philosophers or tech gurus had told that it's not like the technology doesn't exist. A technology exists for everything, it is just not evenly distributed.
Yeah.
So there are people even today you will see who cook their food on wood, but there
Yeah.
are people who only use microwave to cook their food. The technology exists, but it has not. So even the gas, the pipeline gas has even not reached some villages, and some people are only using electric,
Right.
and those guys don't have electricity to start a bulb.
Yeah.
That's the stark difference that is there. So you have to keep upskilling yourself to stay relevant in the market. So similarly, digital transformation is so essential for the organizations.
That's great, sir. So, meetups and when these students actually go out in some meetups or some tech events, they get to meet people at a different level, different scale. So, how important it is for them to go to such meetups, and them being in their first year, first semester, they are getting exposure. Recently, they went to Mumbai Tech event, and
Right.
yesterday also they were in one of the tech events. So they get to meet people from different industries. So what kind of impact will this exposure put on these students?
It is always good to interact with the industry folks, create your network, because your network will probably help you in so many ways which no organization can help you with.
Right.
So you guys know this guy, food farmer. So food farmer, this guy went against Cadbury for Bonvita, right? And the company asked him to take down the video, but it had already gone viral. So government ruled the case against Bonvita because what they were preaching and what they were actually giving were two different things.
Different things.
Right? Now, why that guy was able to do that? Because he had a good network. Because what he was saying was right, he was authentic about what he was doing, and he was also having a very good network. So basically, people aligned with what he was saying. In that case, he had a lot of support that he got. Had he been part of any organization, could he have gotten that support? No. The network will really help you. For example, if you know someone who's a, so suppose you are a web developer, okay, or you are an engineering student aspiring to be a web developer. If you know somebody who's already a principal engineer in web development, or maybe who's a director in some organization, or who is a senior software engineer in some organization, will you be able to talk to them and get more insights into this kind of role? Will they be able to refer you into organizations where such kind of opportunity comes up? Yes. So it will be very helpful for them to interact with people, get them in their network, and if they are looking out, if they share a post on LinkedIn, probably that, okay, I am looking out for this, can the network, you can say, network connection, can it help that person get linked to the right opportunity? It would be very easy. Correct. So networking is very, very essential, and honestly, I myself didn't get the opportunity to interact or go to such events till around 6 7 years of my experience, because all of this has started very recently. Like
Right.
the dev day events that happen, the dev summits that happen, from AWS or any such big organizations, Microsoft or Google and all, whenever they do events, it used to happen mostly in US. So it is very difficult for people in India to be able to attend such kind of
Right.
things. These things have started happening very recently in the past 6 8 years. Correct? Earlier, that was not the case. So we didn't have the opportunity at in the initial part of our career. So we have started our building our network now.
Now.
These guys are building their network before they have started their career. So it will definitely add a lot of value in their career, and they would be in the top very few people who are able to actually have such a good network in their community, like technical community, as in professional community.
So, what would you tell the students to, be updated on these, trends or technological trends that are happening? Like, they also have to take care of their activities, extracurricular activities, go to meetups as well, take the lectures as well. So, in this whole thing, how should they do, or what they should be doing to be, updated with all the trends as well?
If they are actually going through all these things, the events would help them get upgraded with the latest tech, because all these things generally get discussed
Over there, right?
in these kind of events.
Yeah.
Correct? So if there was a tech fest, definitely some organizations would have developed some things, and they are probably showcasing those things in such events. Correct?
Right.
So like if you go to an auto expo, you will see a car that is probably going to come 2 years later. That's a model is there, right? You get to know what is coming. You can prepare yourself for what is coming. And if you are already relevant about something, so for example, if somebody comes up with a new app development set, it be easy for me to gauge that, because I already know the basics of app development. I'll be able to gauge that very easily. Like, okay, what is similar? So these things are similar. What is different? Okay, this is different. So for me, learning is only the delta.
Learning is that.
I just want to learn the delta. What is the difference? Right? I don't need to know these things, because these I already know. If it is an upgrade in the same sector. Correct? So if you are able to learn the delta quickly before everybody else, then you are up to date. You are the most skilled person at that point in time, because you know the delta. Right? Others have not even figured out the delta.
Figured it out, right?
So because you are going to such events, you will any which ways get upgraded. So you should technically follow, because you cannot go to every event that is possible. Right? So for such things, you have to follow the companies, right, nowadays do share their blogs, they do alpha releases of products, right? Even Android Studio, for example, 2 days back, Iguana is a Android Studio version which came out. Iguana alpha is available maybe 1.5 years before, right? So people who wanted to use the new IDE, they already have access to it.
Right.
Yes, it was buggy. Yes, it has some issues, whatever. But you at least get a hands on the latest tech. So it is not like others can't, but it is all about your intention. Do you really want to do that? So your students should be motivated to try the latest thing. If they want to stay relevant, they need to know what is latest in the market. Correct? That is one. Two, if they follow the organizations and they come across such people who are using this new tech, it would be very helpful for them, and they will be able to research at least on these things which are coming out. So they'll know what is being targeted, what is the difference, how can I do this, but what if I do this. So they'll be able to ask the relevant questions if they know what is coming. If they are unaware, then they will be left with the rest 90% of the crowd who doesn't know what is happening. So attending events, following blogs, following the tech leaders who are actually experimenting on such stuff, you can uh, go to GDG events that are happening, or any such things that are happening, to stay relevant as to what is happening in the market. You need to talk to people who are in other organizations. What is happening in the market, right? That's how it is.
So I would want to know, like, before starting a professional life, Did you wish you knew this skill at least when you were, in your academics time? Any particular skill that it was like कि यार ये चीज पहले क्यों नहीं पता थी?
Correct. So I guess till maybe 5 6 years in my job, I didn't have a lot of knowledge about taxation. I didn't know much about how to do financial management. We were not formally taught time management. There are a lot of soft skills or other skills, like, so taxation is something which is a heavy burden on people who are salaried, right? After a certain point in time, you feel, why should I pay 30 40% of what I work for
Exactly.
to the government? What am I getting what am I getting out of it? So for that, you need to understand why
Right.
you are paying that money. So if you understand why, if you understand what is being the problem, why you are being taxed so much, then you will understand a lot of issues. And then if you are smart enough and you are able to solve such issues, you can actually help resolve the problem for a very big uh, population. Correct. So you have to uh, learn financial prudence. So you need to know, how do I use my money? So because we have never been taught what to do with the money. You get money,
Right.
what will you do with it? You don't know. So you will spend on something fancy. Okay, I want to buy an iPhone, I want to buy a car, and yeah, I although I earn like very less, but I want to buy a Range Rover, or I want to buy a BMW, or all these luxury
Luxuries,
items,
yeah.
which probably loses half its value as soon as it leaves the showroom. So one day later, if you go and sell your BMW, you will probably get 20 30% less money,
Hmm.
right? Why? What happened in a day? Nothing. Nothing happened in a day. You just took out the car, you took it back. It has lost 20 30% of its value. Why was the value lost? Do you understand that? If you understand that, so there are some very basic things which, as students, I feel we should have known. So, suppose India has taxation. Do you know what is taxation? How does it work? What are the slabs? If you earn money from insurance payout, is it taxable? Yes, no. These are some questions which everybody will have, but do they get an answer to that? Do you get this answer when you search?
Yes.
I
It
it will still
depends.
be conflicted, because there will be clauses to it. If you do this, then you do this. If else you, because the law is made very
Terms and
complicated.
conditions are applied
There
everywhere.
is a lot of complication built around, a lot of clauses that come into picture. Are you technically competent to understand all the clauses?
No.
Should you be? Because you are a citizen of India, you should know the rules of India, correct? The laws of India. What is the rule? What if I earn money from equity? How can I invest in equity? What is investing? Do I know investing? So should these things be taught? How
Yes.
to use money? Yes. Are they taught? No. Do you have law that is taught to people? Like, you have to follow a law, right? There is. Do you need to teach people how to drive a car? You should. I know it's not part of an engineering course, but as a student, as somebody who would graduate, someday you would have to drive a car. Someday you will be in such a situation that you have to drive a car,
Right.
or there is a need where there is a car but you don't know how to drive. Will you be able to accomplish your task? No.
No.
So some basic things which I feel should be part of curriculum are like taxation, financial, learning about investments, learning about taxation, learning about basic skills. Like many people till the age of 40, 50, they don't know how to swim. Is it a life skill? Yes. Should you know it? Yes. So I think those are some pretty basic things which should be taught, ideally in theory, because nowadays what people do is, what parents do is, they feel that their kids should learn one self defense skill, so they'll put them in karate or whatever. This is
Right.
an additional load on the parent, right? Ideally, as an educational, as a organization who's trying to make good people, good citizens, shouldn't it become their responsibility to do this? Why should everything rely on the parent?
Parent, right.
So that way, I feel that there are quite a few things that should be included in the curriculum, which will help.
Our curriculum, what had happens over here, 75% we teach students all about the tech. As you mentioned, they should be knowing about taxation, laws. We have made sure that, 5% of networking, 10% of business skills,
Right,
10% of, other networking skills and soft skills. All these things will be taught in there.
right,
It is a part of the curriculum. In this whole
right.
100% of curriculum, we made it sure they will be going through HR, accountancy, and other skills to go ahead to know ki even if you are someone who wants to go ahead with a startup, you need to learn, you need to speak about
Basics
it.
of business.
तो बेसिक्स ऑफ बिजनेस के लिए भी बात करना आना चाहिए, उसके लिए यू नीड टू हैव सॉफ्ट स्किल. तो
Correct.
वी मेड इट श्योर कि आपको ये चीजें भी इसी करिकुलम में मिले.
That is great. This will actually set the students apart from the crowd. So probably the students will have an edge over others,
Right.
which will help them grow faster in their career.
And I would want to know, like, these students, many of them are, kind of interested in a startup. Like, if you actually go ahead and ask them, they're like, "Ki, how many of y'all want to go ahead with a startup?" Almost everyone will be like, "Yeah, it is me, it is me." So, what is your thoughts on doing a direct startup after their 4 years and actually, having some or the other job experience, and then if you have a startup idea, go ahead with it?
I believe a lot in fundamentals, as I already mentioned in the session with the students, that I always believe in fundamentals. You should have your fundamentals right. If you have a wrong fundamental, then there is no point in doing whatever what you're doing. So, for example, the students here probably have because there is startup is a buzzword. It has gone trending probably
Yeah.
2 3 years 4 years back when when Paytm started and all these things started. There's a lot of buzz, startup funding, unicorn, all these kind of buzzwords. So see, eventually you see many companies which are unicorns. You see many companies which actually go down. The quicker they came up, the quicker they go down. So 2 years back, Byju's was the word on the street. But today, is it their valuation has gone down from I think some billions to some few millions, right? So what has changed overnight? Has their business changed? What has changed? Nothing. It's just an inflated number. It was an inflated number. People realized it is inflated and it got strike down. Who's at loss?
Byju's.
Exactly. So just because everybody is talking about startup, you don't need to go for a startup.
Yeah.
You need to go for a startup only when you have an idea. Are you solving a problem? If you're solving a problem, and so there can be two ways to it. One, you're solving a problem and it is for the social benefit. You are not doing it for earning out of it. That is one way to go for it. Other way would be you have a startup idea, you are able to solve a problem, you are able to financially create a revenue stream for it so that it pays off and it is profitable. Do you have a plan in place? Only then go for a startup. Just because your friend went for a startup, you can't go for a startup. Just because everybody is talking about startup, you can't go ahead and say a startup. So people who are opening food stalls are saying this is their startup. How illogical is that? वो तो ठेले वाले तो सब जगह रहते हैं. Hawkers are everywhere.
Yeah.
How is it a startup? That is not a startup. A startup is something where, okay, what is the problem you are solving? Okay, so for example, I say there are many different companies that come up nowadays which create fashion brand wearables. Like they have clothes which they come up with, which are fast fashion, like Zudio or whatever. So are they a startup? They actually, if you ask for a person who's from tech, for me that is not a startup. But for person who came from a fashion industry, fast fashion is a startup industry. Why? Because there is quick moving of goods. It is like FMCG for clothes. Okay, so FMCG is like you buy a bread, you consume it in a day or two. Next week you want to buy another bread, or maybe 2 days later you want to buy bread. Okay, same happens with fast moving fashion goods. So, for example, if you are yeah, for example, you are Zudio, what you are doing, or Zara, what you are doing, you are bringing out some kind of products, limited units, get it sold in 2 weeks. Next time the person comes into the store, they'll not see that product, they'll see a
Right.
different product. Is that solving a problem? For people who are into fashion, yes. But what is the problem that it is creating? See, it is not only solving a problem, it is creating another problem.
Another problem.
The problem is, how do you dispose so much cloth? That is a very big problem which is not getting addressed. So when you are coming up with a problem solving, you should not be creating other problems. If you are able to build a sustainable startup, only then it is worth adding time to it. Otherwise, you will also perish like 95% of the other startups perish. So what factors you out, only then it would be useful. Probably, see, I'm not saying that because you think like this you will be successful, but you can always increase the odds by doing this, because there would be someone who will probably figure out an option what to do with the cloth. That person's startup will work.
Yeah.
Why? Because they found there is a problem, which is this. Can I add some value by doing this? Yes. What can I do? I could build probably rugs out of it. I could build carpets. I could build covers for your seats. Can I do that? Yes.
Yes.
Do you want it very fancy? No. It's just a cover. Can I do it sustainably at a lesser cost? Yes. If I'm able to do that, that is a successful startup. So that is how you should be approaching towards, should I build a startup or not a startup? And you don't need to say it's a startup. You can say it's a business.
It's a business.
It's fine. Business is done for profitability. If you're doing it for profitability, just giving it a buzzword doesn't add a lot of value to it.
Value to it,
It
right?
depends on your audience, who you are telling.
Got that. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank you so much. It was a great session where I got to learn many things, and I really liked having this conversation with you. It was really good. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for this interaction, and yeah, thank you.